If you're currently having an imbalance related to respiratory or circulation part of the body, then in this episode we are going to share about the natural way to effectively and efficiently heal it through essential oils. Hi, this is Zia and this is
Kimmana, and welcome to Holistic Nomads TV,
where ancient wisdom and modern science can help you to have more clarity and energy in your life. So we come to the last part of these essential oils for the dosha. So in this episode, as mentioned in the beginning part of the video, we are focusing on healing imbalance that relates to the respiratory and circulation problems with essential oils. But before we go through that topic, as always with the previous episode, we also talk a little bit about the essential oil itself. How could this tiny thing can actually be one of the tools for healing?
The main reason is because essential oils are really potentized plant chemicals. They've pulled certain ingredients out of the plants through a steam distillation process that means it's a lot of medicine in a tiny amount. And they have a very potent pharmacological action inside the body because they're such potentized medicine. We're looking at masses of rows to make a few drops of oil. So we've got a lot of medicine within a small amount, packed punch, very powerful. And as they move into the body, they can have their effect through a few different ways. Again, in the Vata essential oil, we went into more detail on this, but we'll go it again. The first one is inhale. When we inhale, they hit our nervous system receptors in the nose and they have a strong psychological effect on the brain and the nervous system. Then we continue the inhalation, it goes into the lungs, they move directly into the blood and then have reach to have their chemical action and do different functions depending on the essential oil in different parts of the body. They can also be used topically, which means to apply them to the skin. If we're applying essential oils to the skin, I would say 99% of essential oils need to be mixed with a carrier oil with some other not as intense, not as sharp and penetrating oil, coconut oil, sesame oil. There are so many carrier oils out there that could be used to help balance and make it a slower internal process of where the essential oil moves through the skin, gets digested, and then moves through the blood. Has the same effect as it would if it was inhaled. It has access to everywhere, yet topically we can also focus specifically into a certain area of the body by applying more in that region of the body. So fabulous to be effective right throughout the system. The one thing that I really like to mention here is internal use of essential oils, taking them into the digestive tract and absorbing them that way is really intense for the body, and I don't recommend it to people that are not practitioners or it hasn't been prescribed to you. There's just too many side things that can go wrong and irritate there. So internal use, not for any of the essential oils that we talk about here. Unless you are a practitioner and you really know what you're doing, leave that aside. You can get great results by putting it on the skin, inhaling, and still get a good effect throughout the system.
So in today's episode, we are going to focus on essential oils that can help to heal and balance things that relate with the respiratory and circulation. And then seeing that from Ayurvedic perspective, that relates with the dosha of Kapha. So before we go through how to heal that, can you explain us a little bit more on the qualities that we need to balance Kapha? Because I remember, and probably if you're like been watching our channel a lot, you mentioned a lot about qualities when it comes to balancing and healing the dosha.
Yeah, qualities are really important in the Ayurvedic system because it's an experiential science, which means that we're able to experience the world directly, and through that experience we can see, oh, what is it going to do to my body, to someone else's body? So this means we can experience the qualities of Kapha. Kapha is associated with heaviness, dampness, excess moisture, and this lethargy that goes on inside the system. So we need to oppose that with opposite qualities, something that is light, something that is dry, and something that is warm and uplifting. So we can feel those sensory qualities within substances and then know, oh, that experience of it is going to have that effect inside someone's body and going to balance their their kapha. So some essential oils that generally have these qualities together. The main ones I'm looking at here are light, drying and warming. So the first one I've looked at is eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is light, drying and warming. It rises upwards, it works through the lungs, it helps to clear out circulation, it's antibacterial, antifungal, and has a great uplifting. It's got this sharp sort of note and smell to it, and it's best used as an inhalation where we steam it and then we breathe it into the body. The next one is camphor, also warming, light and dry, great for kapha imbalances, awesome for circulation and enhancing detoxification. It's used a lot in Southeast Asia in many of their herbal medicines and balms, because as they rub it onto the body, it really enhances circulation at that area as it opens up the pores. And although it is slightly warming, it can have a cooling effect if not applied in excess, because it opens up the pores on the skin and allows trapped heat to move. So it can cool if just used in a little bit, and this is important to understand, a little bit of heat is needed to move anything in the body. Even if it's trapped heat, a little bit of heat opens the pores and expands them. And then if we have something that's going to stimulate the movement, like camphor stimulates a lot of circulation and movement, then we're able to warm up and move that excess heat out of the system. In the case of kapha, it's quite balancing. It's warming, circulating, light. The next one I looked at is basil. Basil has a very sharp, penetrating, nice smell and aroma. It sharpens the mind, and kapha often gets into a bit of a dull and lethargic mind. So basil sharpens this, gets it going, and it has an antibacterial, antifungal effect on the lungs as well. It also works throughout the circulatory system, an antibacterial, antifungal, and it stimulates and warms the digestive system. A great herbal medicine for kapha imbalances. And the fourth specific essential oil I'm looking at is sage. Sage has great effects on the circulatory system, wonderful effects on the mind. It enhances a lot of this, like, I can be present in the moment and focused on things. So it's used a lot for mental type things. And it also has an opening effect throughout circulation. It's not as specific for the lungs and the respiratory system. So it's not the essential oil that I've chosen when I've made a kapha balancing mix, a blend of different essential oils together. These four that I've just gone through now are examples of the qualities that could balance kapha, and you could observe any essential oil and start to think, start to feel, start to experience. Is it warming? Is it light and uplifting? Or is it heavy? Is it moisturizing? Or when I put it on the skin, is it drying? And you can know through your direct experience which dosha it's going to balance the most.
So you mentioned briefly just now about the Kapha essential oil blend that you created. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What's inside of it, and how come the blend, the formula that you create, can help to balance Kapha?
Yeah, so when I was designing these formulas, I looked at two main things. So I looked at a dosha that I was going to balance, and then I looked at a system in the body that I was focusing that towards. So with this kapha balancing blend, I was really focusing it towards the respiratory system and the circulation system. So in that area of the body, all of these essential oils have some form of overlap effect for the lungs, the respiratory system, the throat, the sinuses, and they have an enhancing circulatory effect. This tends to balance kapha by itself, yet then I also chose the qualities that balance kapha. So it's warming, it's light, and it's generally drying. I always tried to make it so it's not too extreme. I didn't pick the most warming, the most light, the most drying essential oils, because I wanted them to be able to be used by every person, to be used like a travel healing toolkit, where the vata, the pitta, and the kapha blend could be used to help you with many different imbalances. So with the kapha blend, I chose many of the antibacterial, antifungal essential oils, the ones that have been traditionally used for antibacterial, antifungal, respiratory, circulatory disorders, and then put them in the blend. Now, although according to the TGA and the USDA and places where they verify the effectiveness of a blend, we can't make any claims on the essential oils and how the blend, once it's put together. So we're just looking at the properties and the research that's been done on the individual essential oils and what they may be used for, and then we could assume that some of that effect may be there, so it may only help with these conditions. No specific claims. So we used kayaputi in Indonesia, and it's a relative to eucalyptus, but it's a softer version of eucalyptus, meaning it's more suitable for many people. In Ayurveda, we call it more tridoshic. It's not as drying. It can be used directly on the skin, although I wouldn't recommend that a lot. In Indonesia, they use it on baby's skin quite a bit. So it doesn't have that same intense, sharp, drying nature, and it opens up the respiratory system. I used the camphor inside the blend. The camphor is fabulous for the lungs and opening up and dilating the lungs, creating good circulation across the body. I also used the basil, has a really nice antibacterial, antifungal effect inside the body, and it sharpens and enlivens the mind. And then I used rosemary as the fourth, that's all focused on the lungs. So we've got the kayaputi, the camphor, the basil, and the rosemary are all focused on the respiratory system. Rosemary has a great effect on opening up the lungs, enhancing circulation, and it also sharpens the mind. Now, because I haven't used so many really specific and intense respiratory things like eucalyptus, I've used a lot more of the softer ones. It makes it more able to use this very regularly and by people that may be a bit more sensitive in their lungs without creating a bit of an aggravation or possibility to an allergic reaction. There's a much lower chance of allergic reaction with these essential oils in the doses that they're used. And then the last two essential oils I've used in there is bergamot, and this helps with mental stimulation. Again, kapha sometimes gets stagnant in the mind there, and it works as a cavity disinfectant. Sometimes we use the kapha essential oil to disinfect infections in the throat or the teeth. Also, it can be used inside the vagina. The pitta and the kapha essential oil could both be used that way. Again, they need to be diluted, so if you're unsure, send in a little question to find out how you need to dilute it for those specific uses. And it can be great for things like vaginal discharge and other sort of things coming out of the vagina. Bergamot would need to be used in tiny amounts in order to make that safe there. Within this essential oil mix, it's a much lower dose that's used there. And the last one I've used is some ginger. It works great as a circulatory stimulant. It enhances circulation to the lungs and out into the extremities. So if there's any excess kapha that's stuck out here in the circulation, it starts to draw that back in towards the lungs and the digestive system. So then the kayaputi and the other respiratory herbs can really move that out of the system. So these are all the 6 essential oils that I use inside this blend. And the ratio of how they've been blended together is quite specific. I'm not using the French perfumery style of blending like I did with the Vata blend, because that's designed for the nose, that's designed for the, oh wow, it smells incredible, and its mind effect with the Vata blend. With the Kapha blend, I'm using a type of blending system that's more associated with the physical actions it has inside the blood. So it's not designed for its smell, it's designed for how it works when it gets into the blood or when it's inhaled, so topically or inhaled and into the blood there. And there's a specific ratio on how that matches between the essential oils there.
So usually what you do, you will put the 5 ml essential oils of this Kapha blend next to your working table and then working, and then when it's like getting lethargic, then
yeah, that's sometimes, I'm not Kapha dominant, but yeah, if I'm doing study and I really need to focus for a while and I'm doing a little bit of a lazy technique, I'm not putting it in an aroma diffuser or anything, I'll just take the lid off the bottle and just have it sitting on the desk so I'm breathing in a little bit and have a big whiff. Yeah.
That's a very important part that you say there, is that most people, when they think about, oh, this is essential oil for Kapha, oh, I'm not a Kapha, so I don't use it. Oh, this is essential oil for Vata, I'm Vata, and I just buy this one. But essentially, all of us is a tridoshic human being, so we need to be aware on how we can balance all the 3 dosha, even till, let's say, our dominant is one of the doshas. So for example, I am Vata dominant. Vata is the one that get out of the balance the easiest. But like if I eat cheese, for example, I will get Kapha imbalance. If I eat too much chili, if I've been exercising in the hottest time of the day, eating fried foods, then my pitta will increase as well. And that's when I actually need all of the tools to balance both Vata, Pitta and Kapha, and not just Vata, that is my dominant dosha. So in this case, I have all 3 in my toiletries bag everywhere I go. And especially, like, let's say going to places where I can't control the other dosha, then it's easier when I can, you know, from time to time balance that when the early sign of imbalance come up.
You can use the essential oils as like your first aid remedies to balance what's going on in diet and lifestyle that you weren't able to control. Yeah,
exactly. So for example, I have insomnia. I will use the Vata essential oil blends, the link below to watch that video. And let's say another thing is I have insect bite, or I have acne, everything that relates to the skin that is reddish, then I will put the Pitta. Pitta is not my most dominant dosha, but I get that too. And the Kapha one, for example, I sleep late, or I've been not exercising, and in the morning I just feel lethargic, then I just sniff that.
We've also used it for a few respiratory infections with you in the past.
That's
to
right,
really stimulate the movement of mucus out of the body.
So I remember when we stay in a room that is moldy, for example, and then somehow my body create mucus, and then so I put the essential oil of the Kapha blend in hot steam, you call it, put in a hot water bucket, and then I just like sniff that, and it's just dripping with mucus. So there's just so many guidance through how all of these essential oils can be used, and it's so simple because it's just 3 blends, and it can help to heal so many things. I need to add that because obviously everyone is different. So it's so handy, isn't it?
It is, yeah. That's how they've been designed, a travel healing toolkit, the smallest amount of substance you could take that could help you with many different imbalances depending on how it's blended. And there's a PDF that can show you how to blend them as well. So the essential oils are already blended, but then you may want to make like a spritzer spray for a tropical environment, or cleaning out a wound, or something you use as a perfume oil, or a massage blend, or an aroma diffuser, or a bath. That's all written in a 1-page PDF that explains the different oils, what they're predominantly used for, and how to blend them for different uses.
Yeah, on the caption below there is a link to purchase Kimmana's Vitality Now Ayurvedic essential oil blends. Both the Vata, Pitta and Kapha is on vitalitynow.co, link below. Anything else you would like to add?
Great to share with you all. I really think essential oils are an amazing system of first aid home use. So even if you're not buying the Vitality Now blends with us, start getting into essential oils. Start thinking about their qualities and characteristics rather than just their supposed medicinal actions and where they're going in the body. Think the quality. Is this quality best for me? Do I need grounding, heavy, light, cooling, moistening? Think the qualities, and it'll be really helpful for you. We'll also make a link to one of my favorite books on essential oil healing down in the below here. It goes into essential oils and also their relationship to Ayurveda, whether or not the oil is heating, cooling and other things. So if you're still getting into the sensory experience and learning that part, you could also just check in the book and see, oh, that oil is good for Vata and it has these properties. And it's a really great book to go through there. So there'll be a link to that in the notes below as well.
Now, theory without practice is wasteful, because hearing leads to forgetting, teaching leads to remembering, and applying leads to mastering. That's why we will encourage you to leave a comment below and share one learning insight from this video. Also, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you will be the first to hear about our future educational videos. And for more resources on health and healing, check out our website holisticnomads.com. There you will find articles, quizzes on Ayurveda, loads of free downloads, and of course, our future events and courses. Thank you so much for watching. We hope it's been beneficial for you. Hope to see you next week. Bye! If you're looking for no, bukan itu. Currently.